It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Wednesday, November the 1st. Oh, baby, good morning. Right away, I'm just going to jump right in. A little bit of FOMO here with the kid. Didn't have an ounce of Halloween fun yesterday.
Not one.
I didn't do a thing. Didn't have a single trick-or-treater. Didn't even see one kid in costume.
Oh, man.
Not one. Nothing of the sort. I saw some adults in costume. I stayed in. I didn't go out to a Halloween party. Had nothing. So anybody got anything for me? Candace, you're Halloween, you're party master general around here. Lay it on me. What'd you get into?
Well, I do just have to say, Steve, I think you were kind of a Scrooge about Halloween.
Okay.
So
It's a
I don't
Christmas
think you
thing, but-
deserved it.
Well,
anyway.
I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue. First year in a new town, I just figured somebody would invite me to do something.
You got to get out to the burbs, to...
I got a
really
couple
enjoy it.
drunk voicemails from you last night, so it sounds like you had some fun.
I wasn't drunk.
Oh,
Was
well,
I?
you were just being silly.
It was a
about it.
sugar high.
I was being silly. I was being silly.
Well, yeah, I dressed up. Me and Gigi, and I dressed up. I was a witch, of course, and she
Of
was
course.
my little pumpkin, and she was
Nice.
so cute.
Right.
And then we hung out and watched some movies, and then passed out candy, and then we went to Bloomington neighborhood to see some pretty cool displays.
Okay, right.
Saw my friend Shelby and her girls, and then we went to Tool.
All that, and then you went to see Tool.
That was more than
tougher.
I've done in the last year. That's more than I've done
Lord.
all summer long, literally.
I love just burying the lead. How was Tool?
It was pretty cool. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
fun. The lights and it was very spooky and
Boy,
fun.
the people love Tool.
People love Tool.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone describe a Tool show as fun, though. It was fun. I've seen Tool. It was fun.
They've somehow eluded me. I don't think I'd know a Tool song if you hit me in the face with it. But
It was dope.
Was that one about chromosomes 24 and 2?
I don't know. I can't understand any of the lyrics, but the people around me sure did. They
Raging
knew all of them.
Bulls.
Sing
okay.
alongs.
All right, Tony. You got trick or treating age kids, or at least one.
Yeah, it's a suburban thing. I went with the youngsters for a little bit. Augie was Bob Marley, and all his friends were rock stars. There was an Elvis, Michael Jackson, a Dee Snider.
Yeah.
They got mounds of the stuff. We had a good amount of trick or treaters.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Not a Bob, but they're cute. I watched Escape from New York.
Yes.
Handed out some candy.
Wow,
That's
strong.
good.
What is the Bob Marley costume?
The dreadlocks.
The dreads, sure.
Yeah,
Of course,
pot shirt,
and
of course.
the-
Got to have
the-
the pot leaf shirt.
Yeah,
Oh,
like the
culture,
knit
of course,
tam
Okay.
kind of beret
Sure.
and some shades.
And a bong.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And put the candy
Tons
in
of
the
weed.
bong. Yeah, that would be your bag. Did the boys eat? They get a big bellyache last night. Eat all their candy.
Spread it out all over the table. I can show
Yeah.
you a picture later.
Yeah, a nice haul.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Did you
that's-
check it for needles?
No, I don't care if that
That's
happens.
myth.
But they so
care about
last year Rachel makes them wail on it quick, or she will, excuse me, toss it. She put it in a big basket and of course put it in the oven last year. And I was going to make dinner. I turned it on. And
Are you
they're
serious?
Big melted
Is that
mess.
true?
Yeah, and she still blames me for not looking in the oven first
Yeah.
before I turned it on.
Who does that?
Who looks in the oven
Nobody
before you
looks
turn
in the
it on?
oven.
Then when I was a little kid, we used to have to light the oven. Had a little pilot light
Oh,
down there
right,
back in
right.
the day. Well, they say the kids are supposed to eat all the candy in one sitting, they being the dentist, who really ought to keep their nose out of Halloween. Here's a dentist.
It's much better for your teeth if you sit down and eat your full bag of Halloween candy at one time. I know it's going to upset your belly, rather than we're going to hang on to this for the next couple months, and every couple hours we're going to get in there and get some kind of candy out.
Shut up.
Okay,
eats it every
literally,
couple hours?
Let's just send our children to prison while we're at it.
Yeah,
What the hell is
dentists-
wrong with her?
Yeah, they just freak out every Halloween. We had a different radio station in another market I was working at. They had a big promotion. They're like, this dentist is going to call in and you can donate your candy. The day after Halloween, he suggests that you go down and for $1 a pound or something like that, he'll buy your candy off you. I thought, well, why would you go out all that hard-earned effort and work to collect the candy just to sell it to this dentist? And I asked him on the air. He said, well, don't ask me what I do with the candy. I'm like, that was my first question.
Of course.
What do you do with the candy? You obviously don't give it to people. And he throws it away. Wasteful. Dentist. Butt out.
Yeah.
It's good for business. You think they'd love Halloween.
I've long had a suspicion that a dentist I had in my 20s, I was convinced he was putting stuff on my teeth to mess my teeth up. I really did.
Could have been.
I all but accused him too one time.
Yeah.
I started circling that drain thinking I might just come right out and call it out. And then I thought maybe I'll just get a new dentist instead.
Did
Just
you
move on with my
take
life.
meticulous care of your teeth?
Well, let's not get. Look, I don't need the third degree from you.
All right.
I'm just saying, I had a thought. These things happen.
All right.
I was the Bob Marley costume reminded me. My son had a one Halloween. He had a Slash get up, like 2000s. He's like 7 years old, and he had the top hat, the Slash hair, and then it dawned on him that was also Troy Polamalu of the Steelers
Yes.
hair.
Oh, yeah.
And so he did a combo. Polamalu jersey, the wig, top hat, shades. He was Slash Polamalu.
I like that.
And the whole
Brilliant.
thing was every fifth or sixth house, the dad would go, Are you Slash Polamalu? You could tell, like, who's the cool dads in the neighborhood? And every
Yeah.
time I was like, my man, what's up? That was pretty
Yeah,
good.
nailed that one.
It just kind of fell into place. I took Chauncey Gorman, this dog over here, for a walk yesterday afternoon. We went over the Stone Arch Bridge, came back over the 3rd Avenue Bridge. They just reopened over the weekend. I don't know if
Okay.
anybody's aware of that. Beautiful S-curve bridge right there over the river. What's it called? The Mississippi. And, it's gorgeous. It's really nice. They got cool old-timey street lights on it now. Well done, city. And so we did a nice walk, almost like an hour walk around the neighborhood. And I saw either walking or in cars, close to a dozen Barbies, not a surprise. I saw half a dozen men in Ghostbusters gear, not together.
Oh.
I saw two guys together, and then I saw a
Timeless.
series of solo dudes dressed as Ghostbusters. And I said that to Tony, and of course he goes, "Well, there must have been a sale somewhere on the costume."
Either that or
Did
there
I-
were just
was
a
the-
lot of ghosts out in the
Was there a
neighborhood.
Ghostbusters party that no one invited me to? I wouldn't have gone.
Right.
But seriously,
See,
what
that's
was-
why you don't get invited to parties because you wouldn't go.
Maybe they're legit Ghostbusters.
could be.
You know.
Could be.
That
I just
kind of
I
night
didn't
out
know if
putting
I
some demons down.
I was just thinking maybe I missed some thing
Yeah.
that happens in the Twin Cities. Like is next year going to be Stripes night or I didn't know.
I like that.
Going back to old school comedy shtick for the whole city, which I think would actually be pretty cool.
I think it's just still working, isn't it? They're just, they just repurpose it. They just get out the Ghostbusters
I guess
gear
so.
again.
Oh,
You know?
speaking of which, I also saw this. There's a bunch of folks in who I guess live or work in the neighborhood I'm describing, which I was told when I moved to town, you're in Northeast, and then people said, no, you're in St. Anthony, Maine, and then it's like, well, you're just over there. Now, but that area where I live, there's a movement to designate it with a new
moniker?
Are they bored?
Old Town.
Old
Old
Town.
Town.
Old Town.
That's stupid.
Yeah, it's like, man, there's everywhere you go that's an old town, you just
Yeah,
they're
that's
all
a
the
southern
same.
thing,
It's
isn't it?
not cool.
There's a lot of old towns in cities.
You got
and
uptown,
you go there
downtown, old.
yeah, you go there and you're like, okay, so is there a player piano and revolvers? How old are we
Really?
going here?
Tumbleweeds.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I don't know. I'm kind of cool with it still being, well, it's not quite this, it's not quite that. It's just over there by the water. I like that. I
on
like
the river.
I like describing it as such.
They've been trying to change. Minnesota's not in the Midwest. Minnesota's in the North. And they made a big push years ago that quit calling it the Midwest. We're not in the Midwest, it's in the North. And up to the state legislative level got involved. But guess
Really?
what?
What?
It's the Midwest.
Yeah, it's
And
upper,
we're not
I'll go
gonna,
upper
I know
Midwest.
we know
sure.
we're north, or whatever, but you just can't. Once it's in the psyche, once you've stamped it on there,
Yeah.
you're not Old Town.
Well,
Knock it off.
we're touching Wisconsin and Iowa. You can't say that's not the Midwest.
Yeah.
At least that's a Southern guy's
We're in the
perspective
North.
for whatever that's worth.
And we're in the
I'm
North.
just really sad that Halloween's over.
Oh, it took 15 minutes. I knew it was
Hey,
coming.
Get your Thanksgiving tree up today.
I'm not into it. I just wish it was Halloween every day.
Now, did you ever see? Didn't you ever see the Elmo Christmas special where he wants Christmas every day, and Elmo learns that it's not special if Christmas is every day?
Almost sucks.
Charles Durning with a wonderful turn as Santa Claus, if memory serves. Only saw it 9 million times.
Hey, it's November now. It's time to.
Every day can't be Christmas.
Oh, that was
That would make it a treat.
Disturbing.
Yeah, it's awful.
Elmo with lung cancer.
Cuddle.
That's
Wow. All right. Well, when we start all doing matching or competing Elmos, it's time to change things quickly.
Mike Evans Hollywood Report at 6:30. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is November the 1st, which means Halloween has come and gone. Sorry, Candace. Boy, the stars, they go all out, man. I saw a whole Twitter thread of celebrity Halloween costumes. Don't even get me started. Like, Heidi Klum has, 11 people part of her costume.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but we were so cute and we were so simple, Gigi and I.
Yeah, I know. Like, why aren't you on those lists, Candace? That's what I want to know.
I was really sad about Halloween being over, but then I found the leftover Devani's in the fridge. So
There's always a silver lining.
Was it in the
I'm
fridge?
over it. It's in the fridge, yeah. I found it.
So, but you didn't bring it in here
Nope.
today.
You
Okay.
guys
There's
have
one.
legs.
Yeah, we have one sitting in the lobby.
That's what I mean.
There's some in the fridge.
All right.
I love Devani's.
First things first, if we're talking celebrities and Halloween costumes, we might as well talk to our own West Coast Celebrity Hollywood Report Time, Mike Evans. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, guys. Hope everybody had a safe Halloween.
We're all here in one piece.
I love it. November 1st. Wow, the day, the week, the month, the year, it's just, they all fly by.
Yep.
They all fly by. This report brought to you by March's Theaters. Got some movie reviews coming up tomorrow and Friday. Can't wait. Going to be a good weekend to go see a movie. How cold is it there now?
It's a high 20s, I think, right now, probably.
Yeah. Good time to go to a movie. That's what I say.
Okay.
Love Nugget. Well, we haven't heard a word from Justin Timberlake since Britney, her abortion book, Bombshell. That's because Timberlake kind of quietly snuck out of Los Angeles, flew to Mexico, and I understand through his publicist he'll be there a few weeks just playing golf. Basically waiting until everything settles down. That's probably a smart thing to do, just get the hell out of town.
Yeah, it's 2023. There's been 36 bombshells from Hollywood since that book came out. It's already over.
I know.
Go play around at golf, dude. Chill out. No one cares.
I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, Matthew Perry played pickleball 5 days a week, always with his same partner. The day that he died, Matthew complained that he was feeling very fatigued. Ooh, that sounds like it might have been a beginning of a heart issue.
Yep.
And is it true? Yes. The Foundation for People with Substance Abuse that was planned by Matthew Perry before his death will be moved forward by his friends, cast members, in Matthew's name.
That's lovely.
How great is that?
It's a fine result from an awful event.
I agree. Book news, Jada Pinkett Smith blew up her husband and friends and studios, about everybody else, in her book Worthy. And here's an update. As of Monday, Worthy has proven quite unworthy, selling only 24,716 books.
Okay, I'm just going to say it because it's true, but more because it's actually funny. I sold way more books than that.
I know you did.
And I'm not married to Will Smith. Never have, or have I been? In fact, I've never met the man. So do you put that in your pipe and smoke it, Jada?
Exactly. By the way, Jada hasn't had a hit movie since 2003, 20 years ago, that The Matrix Revolution.
Oh, yeah.
And if you can't see something nice, don't say anything at all. Just like Steve in his book,
Yeah.
take the high road.
Yeah, well, of course.
Movie news, Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2 was scheduled for release Thanksgiving next year. Then it was moved to May 2025, and now it's going to be moved again. You think that's all because of the strike, Steve?
I don't know. I would imagine it's got something to do with that. But when is Tom Cruise going to just admit that he's in his 60s and go make a movie about a guy in his 60s?
Thank you. Taylor Swift's concert movies will surpass $200 million here in the next few weeks. Thought that was interesting. Look, TV news, The Grit. It's a 24/7 all-Western channel. It's available on most cable platforms. It's streaming. I don't know. Every once in a while, I like to just sit back late at night, watch an old Western, and they're on 24/7. Check it out if you like Westerns and the Grit channel. I like old Westerns once in a while.
If you're gonna call something the Grit, I say put a little tab of butter in there and give me my porridge, man. I'm a sucker for a good bowl of grits.
Music note: after a couple of teases and a couple of false leaks, tomorrow we'll finally get to hear the new Beatles song, and Oscar winner Peter Jackson has directed a video as well.
I'm laughing at the fact that I literally can't wait to hear the song.
Yeah, amazing. I'm looking forward to it. Or were you joking?
No, I'm a Beatles lifer, man. I'm thrilled.
I love it. And I had a rare fillet of fish at McDonald's yesterday, and I got an instant pop quiz question for you guys.
Wait, hold on. Rare in that you don't eat them often, or it was literally rare undercooked?
Rare, I don't eat them often.
Oh, okay, good,
Yeah.
good,
Okay.
good.
I'd like to hear Zap and your and Candace's guess. How many McDonald's restaurants are there in the United States?
Ooh.
Let's see. Well, actually, I got to add one because they're opening a new one right around the corner. So I was going to say 20, but I guess I'll say 21.
In
20.
the United States?
Yeah, I'm kidding. I don't know. I'm going to say there's 104,000 McDonald's in the U.S.
Word restaurants threw me off. I'll go with 100 per state. How about then 5,000?
I'm going to say 75,000.
Tony?
Well, I don't get to guess.
Tony doesn't get to guess.
You get to guess.
He's on double secret probation.
25,000.
Zap,
Yes.
you won 14,216.
There you go.
Yeah.
You guys all owe me McDonald's.
Congratulations.
I want a
Fine.
rare
I was
fish sandwich.
okay, so I was only off by 90,000. Whatever.
So,
And a sidebar to that, California yesterday passed a law that all McDonald's workers and fast food workers, beginning January, must be paid $20 an hour.
Oh.
Hey, by the way, great. And you know what that's going to hurt? No one. McDonald. The CEO's only going to make $40 million next year? Screw that guy. Give your workers some money.
It's going to be automated this time next year.
Yeah, well, it will be automated, but still, it sounds good.
There's only one bad thing.
What's that?
A Big Mac meal or a quarter-pounder meal will now cost $17.
Oh, please.
Oh, so the poor.
Hey, real quick, Mike, are you an In-N-Out fan?
I am.
That's personal.
Well, no, come on. It's funny. Boy, nothing winds people up more than I love In-N-Out or I can't stand In-N-Out. It's a thing. People go to L.A. and they're like, it's not so great. How about I like all burgers.
Yeah,
I like Fat Burger. I like In-N-Out Burger. I like Jack in the Box. I like them all.
I'm not a big Chick-fil-A guy, though.
Chick-fil-A? Well, that's because you're going to the wrong place. It's
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. Don't go to that
I'm not a
knockoff
big Chick-fil-A
Chick-fil-A.
guy. And do you know the story about the owners, the original owners of the In-N-Out Burger chain?
I heard that didn't they all die and the daughter inherited the whole thing and she's like the youngest billionaire in America or something?
Yeah, he was a part-time hobby pilot landing at Orange County John Wayne Airport and lost control of the plane, flipped upside down on the runway, and they were all killed, and the daughter, who was not with them, inherited In-N-Out.
Well, crazy. It happens.
I'll leave you with that happy note. Have a great day. Bye, Kevin.
Right on.
They have In-N-Out burgers in Minnesota?
Nope.
No.
In-N-Out's good. Horrible fries, though.
Well, you got to get them well done. You got to ask for them well done. Makes a big difference.
So noted.
In-N-Out is only available they have their own beef. So they raise their own cattle and they grow their own potatoes. And so they opened In-N-Out in Texas, but it took 10 years. They made plants because they had to get the livestock, they had to get the potatoes. They do a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's really, if you read the book Fast Food Nation, you'll never want to eat fast food again except In-N-Out. It's an amazing book. Boy, it turned me right off of Taco Bell in a way that even Taco Bell couldn't.
That's why I won't read it.
That's right. Yeah, do yourself a favor. You're living the good life right now. You just don't know it. All right, let's look back. This is a special day because on November 1st, 1946, the first professional basketball game ever was played. It was at Maple Leafs Gardens. It was the New York Knickerbockers against the Toronto Huskies. Who scored the first points in what is now the NBA, but was then the BAA? Ozzie Schechtman of the New York Knickerbockers.
Ozzie Schechtman got a bounce pass.
Got himself a layup. It was a layup. That's a trivia question. It's actually Ossie, 2 S's. Ossie Schechtman, which that sounds like a skit on SCTV, but no, he's actually credited with the first basket in NBA history. By the way, anybody over 6'8" got in for free.
Right.
That was on the posters. 6'8" or taller, you get in free. On this day in 1991, A View from Above was published, the Wilt Chamberlain memoir. Wilt Chamberlain talked all about scoring 100 points, playing for the Globetrotters, being an elite volleyball player, but all anyone cared about was Chapter 11, where he claimed to have slept with 20,000 women. And, of course, the line, at my age, that equals out to having sex with 1.2 women a day every day since I was 15.
It's that one's fine. It's that 0.2 that's just,
It's a strange thing. Look, I like sex as much as the next guy, but Wilt, buddy, I mean, somewhere along the way, maybe an hour or two on a therapist's couch might have helped.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
You had to hear Elvira's version of that story.
Jeez. Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. She's.
We missed out on it. We had her on the show last week. Damn.
Yeah, I should have brought up the Wilt Chamberlain thing. She brought that up the time we interviewed her before that. It was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, that would make me uncomfortable.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Huh, interesting. I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Ignore what that man just said.
There's been some changes in the system. It's just my bad.
Ghost in the machine.
Sorry.
That's quite all right, Candace. It is Wednesday morning, and we are very glad to have you with us as we're all recovering from Halloween night, which is my way of saying Candace had a good night, and the rest of us just kind of sat around.
Yeah.
But, these things happen.
I mean, I did eat way too much and watched a scary movie. Yeah, Taylor, my oldest, throws a hell of a Halloween spread. Yeah, I got over there, and it was, the table was full, and it was decorated. Yeah, it was really rather cool, but no trick-or-treaters, and she was in a fantastic trick-or-treating neighborhood. However, she has a psychotic dog.
Oh, sure.
Named Fry. That, just not the barking and it just became too much to try and hand out candy and, and wrangle Fry. But, we ended up watching The Conjuring.
Let's talk about this spread. Were there dips involved?
There were dips.
Were they
there was
spooky
candy.
dips?
She had like little bat trays and witch head that was filled with Dots pretzels.
Was it a party or just for you guys?
It was just us.
Wow, thoughtful.
Yeah, I know. I don't
Lovely.
know what.
A waste.
She had the day off. That's what I thought. I said, "This is such a waste," and I just picked up the table and I overturned it.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Then I called her stupid and left.
Well, you took some of the food with you, though, didn't you?
Yeah, of course.
Of course I did.
Yeah.
I took all of her candy that was meant for the kids and got the hell out of there.
Anybody else show up to every party they go to with a whole collection of Tupperware, assortment of Tupperware?
Oh my gosh! You're talking
I'm here to load up and leave.
Oh, I tell you what, being the bachelor for the majority of my adult life, I would show up. I was the guy that would take the leftovers, and they'd kind of do that thing like, well, I guess I could give you some Tupperware. Oh, no, I've got some in the car. The good glass stuff.
Sure. Oh, yeah, right
on. It really seals up. I'd come in with, I've got quart ones, half-quart ones, the small ones in case I need to take some of your sauce with me.
Is that spinach dip? It is? Hang on. I got to run to Target. I'll be right back.
Yeah, for sure. But, so it was a good Halloween spread. It paled into the comparison to Candace's night, however.
Yeah, it was lit.
It was lit. Candace dressed as a witch. Gigi dressed as a dog.
No, she was a pumpkin. She was the cutest little pumpkin ever.
Got a little stink fist going.
She was a dogkin, and then cap it all off after trick or treating and partying and go to see Tool at the XL Energy Center. Man,
stink fist. They must have played that one.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
That was like their big kind of radioactive rock hit. Stink fist. You remember that one?
I just, they sounded familiar to me, but I didn't really know them.
Well, that's the thing with Tool. I mean, they're one of those bands that are, I'm not going to use the word iconic, but they're so accomplished and they're so damn good at what they do. You don't have to know Tool songs. Just go and bang your head.
I remember years ago, probably 10 or 12, maybe even 15 years ago, but long after Tool had since established themselves as Tool, a kid came up and he goes, "Hey, man, you like Danny Carey?" And I literally said, who? I don't know who that is. I thought he was talking about like a comedian. It sounded like somebody you'd see at the Laugh Factory. He goes, Danny Carey's the greatest drummer of all time. And I was like, oh, he must be. I've never heard of him, which just said everything about the bubble world I was living in and nothing about him. And then I remember going on YouTube, and I was so baffled. I was like, how can this kid be this excited about a drummer I've never heard of? And then I watched like 40 seconds of that guy drumming, and I went, oh, okay, I got to get out more. Yeah, that guy's on a whole nother planet. I mean, I'm not saying he's Neil Peart, but he's one of those guys who I look at and I say, oh, we play very different instruments. Like that's just an entirely different approach to life and drumming as it goes. But yesterday was not only Halloween. Yesterday was also the NFL trade deadline.
Yes, sir.
And trick or treat, the Vikings have a new quarterback.
Isn't that the question?
Coming in from the Arizona Cardinals, Joshua Dobbs, ladies and gentlemen, will be starting under center this week.
I just saw you a thing. It says 5 things to know about Josh Dobbs.
Okay,
might want to take a peeky.
Number 1, he went to the University of Tennessee.
Yeah, now I forgot he was a volunteer, and he had a great career there. That explains why you're so high on him before the show.
Well, here's the thing. I love, as a 19-year resident of the state of Tennessee, I cheer against them with all I have.
Oh, that boy.
That color orange actually turns my stomach, and I love when football Saturday, when the Volunteers lose the game they're supposed to win. There's just nothing quite like the meltdown of Tennessee fans. Tennessee fans are like a lot of college fans. They have this expectation that they're supposed to win every game based on nothing.
All right, bigger in the state of Tennessee.
Yeah, they got one national title in '98, which was the year after Peyton Manning left town. Everyone forgets it was a guy named T. Martin who quarterbacked them to a national title. Peyton went 0 for 4. But anyway, put it this way: the Tennessee football is so big in Tennessee that Peyton Manning went to the Indianapolis Colts. And I swear to God, half the state are Colts fans for that very reason. The Indianapolis Colts sell more swag than the Tennessee Titans in the state of Tennessee. You see more Peyton Manning jerseys than you see Derrick Henry jerseys. It's unbelievable. Like, they just are obsessed. It's the South. Pro sports is a Johnny-come-lately. College football's been there forever. But Josh Dobbs, he is a great dude. He's a brilliant kid. He graduated summa cum laude. And he's always been a gamer. He is not going to lead this team to a title. He is better than I would take him over Jordan Love any day of the week.
All right.
Okay. Absolutely. But he's at the bottom end of the good quarterbacks, or he's at the high end of the bad ones. You take your pick. He's right there in the middle of the pack, probably.
That's solid.
Yeah, I mean, Coach O'Connell gets excited, and he talks about the same things everyone talks about. You talked about it before the show, Steve. This guy's got an arm. He has accuracy. He can run the ball. He's going to give the Vikings that mobility. The knocks against him, and I watched, oddly enough, the Arizona Cardinals game last week that he got pulled from. And as I was watching, the only game I've watched him play, I know that he hasn't had a great season with the Cardinals or a great necessarily pro football career, but he's been a journeyman. He hasn't been able to stay in one spot for a long period of time, and he hasn't played for a great team. Or now let me amend that: a really good team, which I think the Vikings are. Yeah. But the big knock against him is a pretty big knock, and that's the one I thought I saw last week. That is he has a hard time reading defenses.
Yeah, probably. I don't know if that's the kind of thing that'll come if he has a stable situation, because he has been a tumbleweed throughout his career. He's never landed someplace where he's been able to stay for very long. But you know what? Through those games this season, he started the first 8 games for the Cardinals. He is, by any measure, including statistically, the second best quarterback in the NFC North. He is. Right. You'll take him over the kid at the Justin Fields, and you'll take him over Jordan Love. So, all things considered, they could have done a whole lot worse. The words that come to mind: moderate, boilerplate, fair to middling. I mean, he's one of those guys. Yeah. It's like, trust me, it could be worse. That's all I'm going to say.
I think this is a good spot for him, the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, he has his best chance, I think, since he's been in the NFL, to be a quality quarterback with this Minnesota Vikings team. We'll see. I mean, Coach O'Connell, they've got they've got to get him used to a whole new offense. He didn't play the Arizona offense, is very different, but he's played a lot of different offenses. He's a brilliant. I mean, when we talk about brilliant, like Mensa-level IQ kind of stuff here. So he's going to learn quickly. He's already in town. He'll be on the bench, I guess, watching. He might make it into the game, depending on how Jaron Hall plays this week down in Atlanta. He could, make it into the game. Probably not this weekend, but I mean, he could. But
I think in a couple of weeks you'll see him starting. I don't think there's any question.
Still got to read defenses. They'll keep things simple for him, but you still got to read 1, 2, and 3. Down the field, and we'll see.
I can tell you this much: he's not sweating it, because after his playing days are over, which could be any day for a kid like him, a journeyman, he plans to be. This is true, an astronaut.
I know. Why are you
aerospace engineering?
Yeah.
Why are you even screwing around with the NFL?
I mean, I don't know. I think he's just he's a renaissance man. Look, he did start for my Titans last season, the final game of the season against Jacksonville. There was a playoff game on the line. They lost. He had a pretty good game. He threw for 411 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, one of which was 100% the receiver's fault. And then there was a freak busted play that led to a late Jacksonville touchdown to win the game. I mean, he almost took the AFC South title in his one start for the team last year. So, I mean, I've seen him step in and make something happen. Again, I'm not going to lay odds on the guy getting us to the NFC North title, but it could be a whole lot worse. Give him a chance. Let's just see what happens.
I like that assessment. Let's give him a chance and see what happens.
I mean, there are other quarterbacks who we could have, if they had brought in Marcus Mariota, it'd be like, oh, you got to be kidding me. It's not that. It's a guy who has not really blown it yet. He's never had the perfect opportunity. Maybe this turns into that. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
And he's young.
And he's young. He's super smart. What are you going to do? Also, real quick, local sports broadcasting note. Dick Bremer's calling it a day. 40 years as the Twins radio guy.
That it?
That's a 40-year, 40
I was
years,
blown
man.
away, but I don't remember. Obviously, I don't remember a time when he wasn't the Twins announcer. I mean, what do you say about Dick Bremer? Is that the sun sets in the west, and he was doing the Twins games. I met him one time. We found ourselves at the same charity event over at Como Park on a beautiful Saturday morning, getting ready to do a walk with a bunch of fine folks, and he got up and gave a little bit of speech, and we had a chance to chit chat there for a little bit. And all I can really say is one hell of a nice guy. I mean, that was my impression of him. Just a nice, warm individual.
Yeah, I really liked the comment. He posted, for 40 years I've been blessed to totally immerse myself in the game that I love for the team I love. So in those 40 years, he broadcast 4,972 Twins games. Over the last year or so, I thought it would be cool to make it to 5,000, but then I realized how selfish would that be. A broadcast should never be about the announcer. It should always be about those who play it. I hope in my final season I prove that I've still got my fastball. But nice. I mean, man, way to call your own shot. Just to pull out, easily. He would have gone over 5,000 in the second month of the season, and nobody would have thought it. It would have been like, oh, man, way to go. And he was like, yeah, I'm doing it for the wrong reasons. Time to go. Good job on you, brother.
Yeah.
40-year run doing literally anything is impressive to me.
Yeah, I mean, tip of the cap.
I remember when my kids were in preschool, 2005, 6-ish, somebody came and spoke to the parents about I don't even remember. I couldn't even tell you what the point of this conversation with all the preschool parents was. But anecdotally, the guy said, by the time your kids graduate college in the 2020s, which felt like forever, in the future,
right.
He said, we all grew up at a time where you had like 2 jobs. Like you got your job out of college, and then at some point you'd probably make a switch, and then that's the job you'd stay in. He goes, our parents had one job, a lot of people. You get hired, you stay with the company, gold watch, retire. He said by the time our kids are getting out of college, and again, for me as a parent, that's right now, he said there will be an average of 6 jobs throughout a career, and this is in 2006, and he goes, and over half the jobs your kids are going to have don't exist yet. Because he was talking about technology, the coming, the inevitable hurricane of technology. So in 2006, this guy said, your kids are going to all have jobs that we don't even know what they are because they don't exist, but technology is about to go so into hyperdrive in the next 20 years. And that's completely turned out to be true. Because in 2006, if somebody had handed me an iPhone 15, I would have looked at them and said, you are from 100 years in the future.
I know, and now it's just reset because everything that's about to happen with AI and robotics is going to make everything that happened in the last 20 years, seem pedestrian.
I did an update on my phone yesterday, sitting here in our engineer's office.
By yourself?
Yeah, I just, exactly. I hit 2 buttons and it did the update, and it took like 3 minutes, and I'm going, what is taking so long? And I'm literally now I'm realizing I was losing my mind that I didn't have my phone for 3 minutes because all of a sudden I realized I got to see if Kevin Durant got that double-double, and I couldn't do it for 3 minutes, and I was angry. It's unbelievable. I mean, this thing, it's this phone, again, go back to 2006 and show someone an iPhone, and they'll look at you like you are from Mars.
Well, let's keep that going. Things that younger people don't get about past decades, not having photos or even answers, because that's, there goes someone, there's someone's phone right there. Part of, someone said to me, I remember back when we started bringing our phones into the studios, you can't bring those in, it's a distraction. I'm like, it's a computer. Do we have a computer in the studio? Is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah.
So you just want me to look at a bigger screen? Is that what you want? So things have changed, and they're changing really fast. We'll talk about that. Some things younger people don't get about past decades that make us feel stupid, and that we can just be our curmudgeonly selves. It'll be fun. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, Wednesday, November the 1st. In about 30 minutes, we're going to be giving away tickets to see Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks at the U.S. Bank Stadium. That show is next Friday, November the 10th. If you don't get into that one, hey, there's another show in town that night. My band Bagmen is playing 7th Street Entry a week from Friday. That is November 10th. Come on out and rock with us. We're going to have a good time. Friday night rock show. If you don't get into the big one, come to the small one.
That's where my life has gone. I'm done with the big shows. Not done, but pretty much done.
Yeah.
It'd have to be a hell of a big show to get me out into the crowds, But, those small ones. You sneak in any place that has a curtain for a door. Count me in.
Oh, yeah. We're doing our best to get you, Zepp. That's the whole Bagmen thing. Get Zepp here.
Is that the whole bag? You could start with a free ticket you haven't offered, but that's all right. No, I'll get my own ticket.
What do you think Steve should wear for his gig?
Literally the same thing he's been wearing the last 3 days. Did you change your shirt today? He did change.
I did.
Yeah.
No.
Cuffs.
I took a shower and everything.
Yeah.
Would you say cuffs?
Cuffs.
Cuffs?
Yeah, shirts with cuffs.
What's a cuff? Oh,
Yeah.
it's
You mean like
thing
French
with buttons?
cuffs?
What's
Like
a
a-
French cuff?
Like a cuff?
I'm Googling cuffs. Are
I-
you saying cups?
It sounds like something a pirate would wear. I'll go
Yeah.
full pirate.
A Jerry Seinfeld frilly shirt.
Yeah.
Huh. I'll go with an eye patch.
You're a
Yeah.
drummer. You don't wear clothes. Pair
Yeah.
of shorts. That's it.
Yeah, if this were the 80s, I could totally get away with like some bicycling shorts and a tank top. Man,
Yeah.
good times back then. No YouTube. Just wore what you were wearing.
Right.
Walk on stage. No, I'm thinking it's going to be jeans and a T-shirt. I'm going to go all out this time.
Bold.
Yeah, kind of cool. But it was different back then. You see footage of like the Police live in an arena, and Stuart Copeland's literally wearing like jorts. It's like, dude could not have cared less. He's just up there cooking in a T-shirt and blue jean shorts. It's amazing to me. It was a very different time, and it is. By the way, Saturday Night Live over the weekend, Nate Bargatze was the host, the stand-up comedian.
Oh, I missed that.
Who's a Nashville kid. I've met him a few times. He's a great guy. Really, really funny dude. His monologue was great. He just talks about, he goes, I'm from the 1900s, and it is this whole thing about, he's only in his 40s, but he's like, I came up at such a different time. He was talking about growing up in the 80s. And it is, it's weird. Like we just said, Dick Bremer is retiring from the Twins broadcast 40 years. He started in 83. And that means 1983 is 40 years ago, which I know that, but I don't know that. I graduated high school 40 years ago. I know it, but it's hard to know. You know what I mean? It just, the more that I'm reminded of it, the more it kind of freaks me out. And we had this conversation the other day off the air, which a lot of people, my kids especially, we've had this conversation, they cannot get their head around the fact that everybody used to smoke everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
My God, people were smoking everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. I mean, you'd walk out of my high school and the teachers would all be standing there outside. They didn't smoke in the school, but they'd be right outside the door in between classes. Yes, Mr. Gorman, I didn't get my homework finished. Okay. Okay, and they'd stomp their cigarette out and walk in and yell at me. You know, it's like, it's fantastic.
You could smoke here in the studio.
In the studio.
Oh, yeah, I remember the smoking in the studio days. Yeah, they had the ashtray jammed full of cigarettes, but back then you'd have the garbage can jammed full of beer cans. A lot went on at a radio station.
Like, am I making this up? But there's footage you can see in the old days of like TV news anchors, and they're they're on TV, black and I'm picturing like young Walter Cronkite, and they're smoking like David. You know, like what was that guy's name? David Brinkley.
Yeah,
and
David
he just totally got a lung dart going on air for ABC News.
Tom Snyder used to have a heater going the whole time during interviews.
Yeah, he was always, "Now, Bono, tell me what it's like growing up in Dublin." You know, that's where I first saw you too. And and he was just blasting through a pack of Camels on the air. I was on an Air France flight in 96 or 97. I honestly, it might have been 1998, and they were still smoking on the plane. The domestic airlines had gotten rid of it, but I was on an Air France flight from Paris to Atlanta, and the woman behind me was in the smoking section, and I wasn't. That was the designation was one row.
Yeah.
And I was one in front, and they were like, well, there's vents above in the smokers. They didn't do a thing. I was just like immersed in an old French gal's smoke for the whole flight.
Yeah.
It's just incredible to imagine that used to just be totally normal.
Yeah, I mean, it was the fabric of our society, really. As soon as you could start stealing cigarettes from your mom and dad, that was a thing. It was like who could steal how many cigarettes and bring them to school and smoke. And if you got caught, you weren't really in trouble.
Yeah.
Unless it was pot.
The biggest cultural problem my family would ever face on a weekly basis is if somebody misplaced the TV Guide. Remember that magazine?
Yeah.
Candace, there was a thing called TV Guide.
I know.
Came once
I've
a week.
seen Seinfeld.
Oh, really? Sorry, I missed it.
Just real quickly, can I interject? Mikey, my buddy, just texted me that he went to Burnsville High in 1978. And Burnsville High, they had a smoking section for 18 and older and teachers. Can you imagine a smoking section for seniors?
Wow.
In your high school.
I had a moment in high school where we were doing a project, and my English teacher said someone had to run out and get some supplies. And she just said, she goes, "You have your license, right?" And I said, "Yeah, I was in 11th grade." She goes, "Take my car, go up to the store, blah, blah, blah." And it was a really small school. It wasn't that big a deal. It was like no one. And I hopped into Mrs. Peterson's Honda Prelude.
Yeah.
The cool little sporty car. And I get in, and the ashtray's just, you couldn't have put another cigarette butt in there. And we all knew she smoked. But then I turned on the ignition, and her cassette of Led Zeppelin 4 in the middle of Misty Mountain Hop at full volume came up. And I was like, whoa, Mrs. Peterson is a rocker.
She's cool. Yeah.
She's rocking on the way to school in the morning. And I never looked at her the same way. I was like, I never noticed how attractive she was until right now. And I mean, she just, it was like the craziest thing to me. But yeah, the teachers, it was just a different time, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just had to squeeze that one in from Mikey. I thought it was pretty crazy.
There's the other thing too. Like I mentioned, TV Guide.
Yeah.
But just simply, and I had this conversation the other day. My son is in Los Angeles, California. For God's sakes, he's got an internship with a production company. He's a screenwriting major. This is an amazing semester for him. And I called him the other day. I'm like, "What's up?" And he literally goes, "I'm just bored." and I wanted to crawl through the phone and just smack him. I'm like, bored. You have no idea what boredom is. You've never had an hour of your life where something wasn't in your face, man.
Yeah.
That kid cannot be bored. It makes him crazy. And I'm like, what's driving you nuts was more often the case in my life at your age than not.
Yeah, imagine a television when we had our 3, maybe 4 channels, if you count PBS. And then, I mean, Fox came along much later than when we were growing up. But you just watched what was on. You went 1, 2, 3, 4 through the channels. Maybe even cable. You had a dozen channels. You just went through them, and if there was nothing on you wanted to watch, you watched something else. You just settled to watch something. Now you can... Now the 4 of us couldn't come in and talk about anything that we watch on television because all 4 of us watch completely different shows.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
There is no common water cooler. What did they say? The Game of Thrones was the last big water cooler event so that people could talk about, at work together. But, yeah, we can all watch blockbusters, and there'll be 4 different shows.
Candace, the KQRS Facebook page has a bunch of comments. I believe.
Yeah, people are just saying what they can't believe exists today.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Scott said his 75-inch TV, how it's lighter and cheaper than his first 27-inch TV in 1995.
God, can you imagine?
Asking a friend to move your TV was a thing back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I got to move a TV. Dude, come on. We don't know each other that well.
Right, exactly. Especially if it was the console TV, not just the little... I had a black and white 13-inch. I had a black and white 13-inch television from 20 to about 24. That was my main television, the 13-inch black and white. That's all the better I could do in those years. And I was watching on YouTube a playoff game between the Steelers and the Raiders from like 1977. And what we used to watch on the television, I'm like, I can't even read the numbers. And it's a TV. I mean, it was so grainy.
Right.
And it just hard to focus in on. And now if it's not 4K UHD, I get a little pissy.
Susan posted, starting your car in the parking lot from your office windows. The first time I saw a car started via remote, it was in the 90s, actually, a while ago. And I was in I shared a driveway in Atlanta with our next door neighbor, and I'm in the driveway, and his car just turns on, and 5 seconds later, he comes out of the house, and I was like, what sort of witchcraft are you operating? And it freaked me out, man.
It's a time-traveling machine.
The first time I ever saw a fax machine, I stared at it in absolute... It was at the time, my friend, who then became my girlfriend, who then became my wife. I dropped by my buddy Rosemary's office where she worked, and I looked over and I was like, what is that? And this was in like the late 80s. They'd been around for a while, but I'd never seen one. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching a machine spit out a letter via fax. And I was literally, it might as well have been a spaceship. I was like, you got to be kidding me. You call a number just like a phone and it sends this through? It blew my mind. I told you the other day, I told you earlier on the show today that yesterday I walked across not one but 2 of the bridges downtown. Bridges still blow my mind. I don't know. It's bad enough to see a bridge over land, but how you build a bridge through water before in the 1800s, forget it, man. I don't know how.
A ferry guy yourself.
It's ridiculous, man.
I remember thinking it was so cool. I saw there was a car that you could control the radio and the stereo from the steering wheel.
Oh, sure.
Oh, it was stunning.
Yeah, absolutely insane.
I still don't do that. I know it's on the steering wheel, but I still reach over and grab the knob, Unless it's on the screen. I can't work the screen, That's while I'm driving.
I have one.
What is it, Candace?
Ubers.
Sure.
No, we had taxis.
I know,
wasn't
but
that big.
Ubers is different because you can do it on your phone and stuff. I could be able to.
Well, that's how I called the taxi was on my phone.
I remember my first Uber in 2013 in Boston, and I was absolutely blown away by that. I truly was like, man, this is the most. And of course, back then, an Uber literally cost you like $1.50.
I know that, and you can track the Uber coming to you. I remember you used to call a taxi and then wonder if the taxi was coming or not.
It really did freak me out. And then when Lyft showed up. Do you remember when Lyft first started? They had like those mustaches on the front of a pink mustache.
Yeah, right.
Would be mustache ride.
Yeah,
I saw those things, And I didn't know what they were, but I was like, what is this thing? I just thought it was in Nashville. I was like, what is with these pink mustaches on cars? And there was something about it. It really wound me up. Like, I didn't just think that's weird. I hated the sight of those pink mustaches because A, I didn't understand it, and B, it just freaked me out. I was like, and then when I finally realized that's another, I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. That's your shtick? It just made me angrier. I'm so glad they got rid of those.
The mustache. Well, you weren't the only one. That must be one of the reasons they got rid of them. People just were not reacting to them kindly. What about just when you used to know something that other people didn't know? I mean, it used to be if you had some knowledge, it was kind of cool. Now it's not cool because everyone knows everything. Everyone knows everything there is to know.
I've always known everything.
Yeah, because you have a phone. You have the internet.
Yes.
So, but there was a time where most people didn't know anything. And then you had that one friend that knew everything, and he was the smart. You just asked, hey, Steve, hey, Steve, how does, but now you just pick up your phone. Our phone knows everything.
Yeah, it's
instant information.
It does not. I really do believe the creative process is greatly hampered by all the stuff. Back in the day, you had to manifest small town boredom somehow, and I think that's where all your best musicians and artists and writers came from.
Look at me like you were teaching me a lesson right there. You're like, listen up, little one.
I can't help but look at you that way, Candace.
Oh, I know. I guess I'm not all knowing. I have a lot to learn and know.
Listen, I mean, if you're in a gilded position to have the three of us mentoring you through life.
Yes.
Oh boy,
wise men.
This is. I'm saying that as the guy who looked at Candace 20 minutes ago and I was like, could you please heat up a piece of pizza for me? I'm not sure how to operate the microwave.
Yeah, right, exactly. My daughter trying to teach me the Fire Stick. Oh, I got to get the other, what? The Fire Stick. I got to, wait here, can't you just want the remote? Dad, give me the Fire Stick. Let me take the Fire Stick from you.
Another invention that I came across late and could not believe it. I was like, you just put that thing in the HDMI and all the, whoa!
She just throws it.
My first day with a Fire Stick was phenomenal.
Yeah, she just throws it in her fanny pack and then just comes over, and now my TV is her television.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's awesome. I love that.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
It is Wednesday, November the 1st. Candace is the Halloween champion around here. The rest of us are just old and boring, and that's how it goes. But we're certainly hoping everyone else had a night much more like Candace's, partying, trick-or-treating, handing out candy, going to see Tool. The rest of us, not nearly as cool. Well, you guys, well, actually, that's not true. Tony, your youngest, had a great night Halloween trick-or-treating as Bob Marley, and then there was a movie you guys watched, you said?
Well, I did. He was out having fun. I was at home handing out candy. I watched Escape from New York, John Carpenter classic.
Just Snake Plissken.
Yeah, you can't really watch it enough times in one life. In 1995 in Amsterdam, my cousin who worked for my band and I are walking down the street after just having smoked our weight in weed, as you do in Amsterdam, and I'm barely making any sense. And Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn walked right past us.
What the?
Like, just happened to see them on the street. And
cool.
And as they walked by, my Jeffrey, my cousin, he just went, Kurt, Goldie, like as they approached, as if he knew them. Cool. And they looked over, being very famous people forever. They both nodded and said hi. And then, of course, we walked around the block and rounded the corner, and I went, Snake, I heard you were dead. And my cousin goes, that was like a minute ago, dude.
All right.
It took me that long to come up. Like, I just saw Kurt Russell. I got to throw some Snake Plissken at him. And we had literally walked 100 yards before I got the words out. He was like, yeah, you're like a minute late.
You know he's heard that 1,000 times,
Of course.
But so cool. This time delivered with conviction. You should have circled the block and come back around.
Chased him down.
Yeah.
No, I could have never caught anyone at that moment in time. I guarantee you, he's heard that a million times, but never by anyone as stoned as I was at that moment. I was never a good stoner. It just always got the best of me.
That means you're a good stoner. You sound entertaining as hell. I want to get stoned with you.
That's very true. Zep, you watched a movie last night too.
Oh, The Conjuring. Yeah, that was Taylor. Taylor gave me that, or we were going to do one of the Rob Zombie movies. I forget, one of the early ones.
House of a Thousand Corpses. That's great.
It is great. I flipped the coin.
I've never even heard of it.
What?
Really?
House of a Thousand Corpses?
Yes.
Or The Devil's Rejects.
Is it a
one.
documentary about being a medical examiner?
That's exactly what it's about.
Starring his wife, yes.
Holy smokes.
But yeah, we started with The Conjuring because I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, old man, thought, I can sit through 2 movies. I took a little siesta this afternoon. But I did get one in, and her fantastic Halloween spread, much like Candace. She's embraced Shocktober, raised right, and she makes a calendar. Gets the calendar, sits down with the October calendar, and puts down all the movies she's watching for each month and each day. She takes it pretty seriously, but she toned it down last night for dear old dad, and I appreciate it.
That's pretty fantastic. In a few moments, we're going to be joined by Dan Cummins, who's a very, very funny gentleman.
Oh, he's so good. Can I just play the first 10 seconds of his act at the Parkway Theater?
Please do.
All right, let's see here.
Well, the question is, can you?
Can you? I don't think I probably can. I was recording it in audition as we're coming out of Tom Petty.
Thank you very much, Minneapolis. I am going to say some things tonight that by the end of the show are probably going to offend everybody here.
That'll work.
I mean, it goes into an explanation as to why he does that, but he really lays it out very well. But he does. I found myself a couple of times wonderfully offended. Loved it. Best comedy show I've watched online in 5 years.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. It runs a little over an hour.
Yeah.
I only got about 50-some minutes into it. I started it last night, but yeah, it's good stuff. Just when you think you've got him figured out, he comes at you with the knuckleball. But I would say he's a guy that gets it.
Yeah, and he recorded that at the Parkway earlier this year. It just hit YouTube 2 months ago. It's over 600,000 views now. If you look, 620,000 views. And by the way, podcaster, the Time Suck is a huge podcast.
Yeah.
Great podcast as well. I went to the Parkway this spring to see your buddy Gary Loris play a solo show. Gary from the Jayhawks.
Your buddy, but
I can't. Oh,
I'm a fan.
Well, okay, but I can't say it was funny though. It was really good, but yeah, I didn't laugh. I didn't laugh a lot. He did tell a couple funny stories, but it wasn't quite the same vibe.
Yeah,
but that's a cool little room. Make no mistake about it.
Oh yeah, no, the Parkway. They've done a fantastic job with that over the years. A very good friend of mine got that reopened up again. After I get rid of that burden of a dog food company of his. But, they have great shows over there. It's a fantastic venue. I'm glad they've still got that thing motoring along, like the Riverside, one of these great old venues that they just, keep reinventing. But, yeah, Dan Cummins, what I like about it, he kind of lulls you in and you think, okay, it's going to be this kind of show.
Yeah.
And then he comes at you with the old sucker punch. Good stuff. I think just about everyone would find something in his stand-up that they'd really like. Maybe I'm full of... I usually am.
I fully agree with that. Dan's on the horn right now, joining us on the KQ Morning Show. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to speak with you, sir. Is this true? You're from Riggins, Idaho.
Yeah, that is true.
Okay, that sounds like a town from a TV show. Riggins, Idaho. It's just a great name for a town. I've never heard of it until 5 minutes ago. What's going on in Riggins?
Not much. Actually, the original name of that town was better. It was supposed to be Gouge Eye, as in someone's eye is being gouged out. But it was going to be named that after a bar fight, but the post office wouldn't allow the town to be named Gouge Eye, so they had to name it after the postmaster, John Riggins. There you go with the name. And then it's a different kind of place. It's only about 400 people. It's an old logging town, but they don't log there anymore. And it's an hour's drive on a highway from another town that at least has a stoplight. It's a 3-hour drive from a mall. It is very remote.
Wow. And the feds still messed it up. Wouldn't let it go. If I would go to Gouge Eye, Idaho, I can tell you that right now.
Just for the T-shirt.
I would take a trip.
Yep, me too.
So you're growing up in Riggins, in the high school kid in the 90s. Did you already have a sensibility looking back? Were you looking at things with a little bit of perspective and maybe stepping away, getting above it, and looking at the idiosyncrasies of life in that town that maybe led you to believing, like, I think I'm going to talk to strangers about life?
I didn't really think about it growing up, but I do think growing up there, gave me a unique perspective. You kind of feel like you're on another planet, especially back in the 90s before the internet. You know, it's like I knew by the time I got to high school there was a couple satellite TV households in town, and you knew about MTV, and you knew what was going on in the rest of the world, but you weren't a part of that culture. You were like so isolated and removed from that maybe that kind of led me to become a people watcher. You know, and that observational style is what ended up kind of coming out in my stand-up.
Sure. So if you're a high school kid there and you want to go to see a rock concert, how far do you have to go to see a big show, a big tour?
At that time, you'd have to go to Boise, which was, a 3-hour drive.
Yeah. Wow. That's fantastic. I mean, fantastic to talk about. Probably not so fantastic to be there as a kid.
No, you definitely were aware of, what other kids had. And, for the most part, you wanted out. And then it is funny now. It does give you a different perspective. Like, when I talk about my childhood compared to my wife who grew up in Cleveland, or most people, she's like, wait, what? Like to me, walking around in the woods at 12, 13, with a rifle, just kind of shooting whatever critters you want to shoot, was just like normal life.
Right.
And she's like, no, that's not normal. That is not how I grew up. We were hanging out at the mall or the drive-in. We weren't just killing squirrels.
Not so much hunting within the city limits of Cleveland, Ohio, to be sure. Not a lot of hunting here in Minneapolis, although not very far away. There's no shortage of it going on. The new special, Trying to Get Better, speaking of Minneapolis, you just shot that at the Parkway Theater. What I've seen of it, we were just listening to some of it during the commercial break. Fantastic, as we would have all expected. Was there a specific reason? Did you pick Minneapolis or in the Parkway itself, or was that just a good moment in the schedule? It made sense. How did it come to be that you shot that here?
I would love to say it's like, I had this special connection, but you're right. It was like a good moment in the schedule. As far as there were some other markets I liked as well that we'd already done on that tour. But I had done, I think it was the 10,000 Laughs Comedy Festival is what it was called. But I did a spot at the Parkway Theater for that and just thought it was a really cool, intimate room, where it is a theater, but it's also, not huge, and there's no bad seats, and the acoustics were good. And I have loved Minneapolis for a long time. It's been a great comedy town for many, many years.
Yeah. Hey, Dan, Ward Johnson is one of the guys that owns and runs that and sort of reinvented it here, the Parkway Theater, and turned me on to you. And I listened to the special, which has, hundreds of thousands of views in its first week out, Trying to Get Better. Dan Cummins, think diesel engine there. And
thank you.
And we played just the first 10 seconds, and you said, I'm going to offend everyone. I think, oh, yeah, I hear that. People say that. I'm here to offend everyone. And then I listened to it. A couple of times I was gloriously offended. I mean, I think we need to and have to be challenged and offended for some of our beliefs because it's so easy to be polarized. You go after all of that and somehow manage to make it all work from rednecks. Hey, I grew up in a town of 350 out in the middle of South Dakota and now live in the big city. For everyone to people that go to the Parkway Theater in Minneapolis, that's kind of gutsy and ballsy. Not being done. People are kind of picking sides these days.
Yeah, it bothers me that you're right. People are picking sides. And there's a lot of, I feel like, fake edginess where it's like, yeah, you're edgy, but you're also cheerleading to one half of the country.
Yeah.
And you're making sure that you stick to those talking points and you don't say anything outside of that. And to me, stand-up at its best is challenging the status quo. And, really trying to be honest about what's going on in society. Unfortunately, I think a lot of comics are afraid to do that because, you can get punished. You can lose a good chunk of your audience. And, even with that special, it's like I gained some fans, but then I also lost some fans. But, for whatever reason, I just felt like I needed to kind of say certain things and address things and just make people who are also sick of the polarization feel less alone. It's like, oh, yeah, there's a bunch of us that are real sick of how things have been going on the last couple of years.
Dan, it's an interesting point. A lot of folks seem to lose they missed it the whole time. That stand-up comedy has always been about not tiptoeing up to lines, but running right over them. Like they say, you don't know where the line is until you cross it. And in that regard, it truly is an invaluable art form. When you first started looking at comedy as maybe something you were going to do, who were your who was your North Star comedians? Who did you look at and say, okay, that guy, that resonates with me, that makes me want to do this?
I mean, when I first got going, I didn't really follow stand-up much before I tried it. But then once I got in, well, two of the guys actually that jumped out, early on were actually Doug Stanhope and Bill Hicks.
Yeah,
sure.
As far as being really brave comics, but also really funny. I think that's what I liked. Is like, yes, they were saying things that I didn't necessarily agree with, and things that were shocking to me at that time, but they were just so funny with it. Mm-hmm. And then, and then Carlin, I had seen some of Carlin's stuff as a kid, but wasn't ready for it, I guess. And then when I was looking through all these different comics, trying to see what was out there, to me, like, he's the pinnacle. George Carlin was just such a brilliant philosopher who was just also funny.
Yeah, I love Carlin now, especially because you will see people on every side of the political spectrum posting a certain Carlin clip that they think validates their worldview. And it's like, everybody, see, he knew then. And then the exact opposite guy's going, yeah, but look at this clip. He knew then. And it just speaks to the fact that he was speaking truths, and people pick and choose as they like. But Carlin, boy, he was not a sailboat. He was a motorboat for sure.
Oh, yeah. I love that he just hated everybody.
Yeah.
He just, I try not to be nihilistic, but just, being non-emotional. It's like, yeah, we humans are the worst thing that's ever happened to the planet. Like we're the planet's worst parasite. And so
yeah.
I do feel a little kinship with Carlin where it's like, sometimes when there's a horrible tragedy, there is a little part of me that is like, maybe it's for the best.
Yeah,
maybe getting rid of us is for the best.
Yeah, he's the first guy who said that I heard it in a way where, he's like, save the planet. The planet's going to be fine.
Yes, I love that bit. Yes.
It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Dan Cummins is with us on the KQ Morning Show. The new special, Trying to Get Better, on YouTube is just a few weeks out. It's fantastic. Many, many hundreds of thousands of views already. Not one, but two big podcasts. So what else? Are you working on a screenplay? You got a book in the works? You're a busy guy.
Yeah, I've been a little too busy, and I just, next year, I decided to take a year off of touring. So I have a couple more stand-up dates coming up, and then I'm just going to focus on podcasting and just kind of being home and living more of somewhat of a normal life this next year, as opposed to just kind of doing creative things constantly. I felt like I needed to recharge the batteries and just kind of freshen up my perspective. Sometimes with comedy, it's like if you're on the road too much, I think, then your life just becomes, a series of airports and a series of green rooms and, talking to other comics. And I don't know, I think you lose some relatability. So I'm looking forward just to, being a regular person as much as possible and building up new stories for a special down the road.
What is this bizarre perspective of which you speak? I'm confused. Balance in life?
Yeah,
what the hell are we talking about?
How dare you?
That's fantastic. Do me a favor. Pronounce the school you attended as a college student.
Oh, Gonzaga. I know a lot of people go with Gonzaga, but yeah, Gonzaga is technically I'm supposed to say.
Okay, thank you. 'Cause every year during March Madness, everyone goes. Every broadcaster says one or the other, and it is Gonzaga, correct?
Yep. The ones that are saying Gonzaga, they probably went to Catholic school if they're not from the area. Yes, St. Aloysius Gonzaga. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. We're gonna zag. I'm always gonna remember that. Thank you, sir. Hey, Dan, it is a pleasure to chat with you, my man. I say this sincerely. Have a great 2024. It sounds pretty fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to just slowing down a little bit and enjoying the moment.
Yeah. Well, cheers. You've certainly earned it, brother. Take care.
Thank you.
See ya. Man, what a jerk.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to balance in life. How dare he?
Big phony.
What a wonderfully warm, insightful man.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to pull back a little bit. I'm going to take a year off. I mean, that's awesome.
Right. And unlike, he mentioned Stanhope and Hicks, two comedians that I absolutely love, and the Bill Burrs out there. He does it with such a nice reverence, He laughs his way through his own special, even at himself. And I don't know. I thought a lot of it, Dan Cummins, Trying to Get Better, shot right here at the Parkway. And by the way, feel free to put the Parkway on your calendar. Check in with them every once in a while. They had all sorts of cool things happening over there.
Yeah, it is a great room and a cool little neighborhood right there on the corner. I enjoyed it. I've like I said, I only went once, but I keep meaning to get back.
Yeah.
I bet if I went there now, I would actually have some semblance of where in the city I was. Now that I'm starting to know my way around.
Yeah, it's a great neighborhood over there. A lot of great places to eat. A couple of dive bars nearby.
There's a supper club right next door.
Yeah,
Supper club.
is a supper club. Houses over there as well. You can get a mad beef stroganoff over there. I go there. What I do when I go to a show over there, I get the beef stroganoff, go to the show, then after the show, go back and get the beef stroganoff to go home. A lot of good stroganoff in that neighborhood. That's all I'm saying.
Now you shared a
I see you
secret.
working.
I don't even know what the hell we're talking about at 9 o'clock. We got a lot of options here. But we haven't talked. I got into the whole Dan Cummins thing and was trying to finish the special here. But I know the Vikings had a big trade. We've been talking about that a little bit. We'll try and flesh out this new guy, Dobbs, for you. He's in town. He'll be suited up this Sunday. Not expected to start, but we'll talk about the Vikings trades. Made a couple of trades at 9 o'clock. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS. We'll be right back.
Oh, my
Now's a
gosh.
good time to jump
I'm
into
sorry.
the conversation. Call or text 651-989-ROCK. It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
Thank God I can go back and finish that dump. I thought it was showtime.
Jane, how do we stop this thing? I love coming out of a commercial break with Candace screaming, "I'm sorry" into the microphone.
That was great.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get some things in order here today. And
I've fallen.
Somebody was out at a tool show too late last night.
Maybe if the instructions weren't in Norwegian, you could make sense of it.
Right.
Wow. If you're just joining us, this is the KQ Morning Show, as far as I know.
The meatloaf.
Oh, man, this is life in the fast lane. Woo, it doesn't get any faster. By the way, pretty famous story, Glenn Fry coming up with life in the fast lane. Living in L.A. in the late 70s, and a drug dealer buddy came by to pick him up to take him to a poker game, and they were driving on the 101 in North Hollywood at 100 miles an hour in a convertible, and Glenn said, "Hey, man, you're driving a little fast," and the guy's like, "What of it?" And he goes, do you have, like, drugs in the car? And he goes, "Yeah, that's okay. It's all in the trunk."
Okay.
And Glenn's like, "Do you think you might want to, like, chill?" And the guy looked at him and goes, "Hey, man, life in the fast lane."
Yeah.
And Glenn Fry said, "I knew one thing. I had a song title. I didn't know if I was going to live to write the rest of the song." But, yeah, that's kind of how that went. That's the stuff of a legend right there. Kind of like Joshua Dobbs, the new Vikings quarterback, the legend of Josh Dobbs. A few things that it's important to know about our new quarterback. Our new quarterback from the Arizona Cardinals. Before that, the Titans. Before that, let's see. He was with the Jaguars.
CFL.
He was with the Browns. He's been all around. A couple things to know about Joshua Dobbs. The man literally once shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. So that right there tells you he's a different kind of cat.
Classic.
No, wait, hold on. Sorry, that was Johnny Cash. Okay, no, Josh Dobbs, not a bad player at all. He's got. We'll put it this way. So far this year, he started 8 times for the Cardinals. He's automatically the second best quarterback in the division. He's better than Jordan Love. He's a far cry better than Justin Fields. So it certainly could be worse. Let's see. Week 4, he had 265 yards against the 49ers. He has scored at least 1 touchdown in 6 of his 8 starts. And he gets them on the ground as well as with his arm. He's a good runner.
Yeah.
Something that we've not had really with Kirk Cousins. Dobbs can he could take a busted play and get some yardage out of it on his own. So that's going to be an interesting feature if that is something he's able to utilize. The Vikings running game needs all the help it can get. So, I mean, there's that. This is his 7th NFL team since 2017.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and and you think, boy, he's had so many chances. He didn't stick somewhere for a reason. The knock on him coming in.
Sure.
And I don't know. I've watched him play most of a game last week. I just happened to be watching the Cardinals game, and I thought, Dobbs, this guy, because it's odd. I thought, I'll have to memorize who's playing for him now. Dobbs, got it. Now all of a sudden he's a Minnesota Viking, but is that he doesn't read defenses very well, and that certainly would keep you on the bench and being shipped from team to team. But we've got a pretty good Vikings team here, probably better than any of the other aforementioned teams, except for maybe the Titans that year he played there. But Keep it simple. Let them run around a little bit. Use the weapons. They have a running game. I mean, they didn't. I probably should have stuck with it maybe a little bit more last week. From an armchair quarterback,
Sure.
But he has a chance to succeed here, I guess.
Yeah.
Are the playoffs realistic? I think so because
they
the
are.
division.
They are.
Yeah.
They're absolutely. It's absolutely within. It's not crazy to think this could be a wild card team. Make no mistake about it. And in fact, if they split with the Lions, chances are they could even win the division if they go 5-1. Who knows what's going to happen?
7th easiest schedule from here on out. I read this morning,
which is hard to believe. There's 6 easier because when I look at it, I just see W's like crazy.
Yeah.
Hell of a college quarterback. I watched him play a bunch when he played at the University of Tennessee, so I would see them often living in Nashville. Started 3 bowl games and won all 3. And during both his last 2 years, junior and senior, over 2,000 yards, ran for over 500 yards in each season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's a really good football player. Is he an elite quarterback? No. But he's a really good football player. And he'll always, like I said, he's a legend in Knoxville, Tennessee. And he's one of those guys you'd say, well, he's always going to be able to go back there and sell insurance, except that he's going to be an astronaut when his career's over.
Yeah.
Literally, the guy he graduated 4.0 with the highest honor for an undergrad at the University of Tennessee. He's got he's already got inroads at NASA. His plan is literally to be an astronaut. So pretty fascinating dude.
Yeah, very fascinating. And like Tony mentioned earlier this morning, it's not like they gave up anything really. A 7th that might be a 6th, a 3rd-day pick, and then they got one back on by trading the offensive lineman. Whose name I'm not remembering right now. So they got that pick back. So, I mean, why not? Roll the dice, take a chance. You need more than Jaron Hall and Mullins or whoever's coming off.
Once he gets off IR.
Right, right. Once he comes off IR. You need another quarterback in the mix, and I think they probably found the best one sitting around for a 3rd-day pick you're going to find.
He's off the field, absolute stellar individual, member of any community, great guy, super focused athlete, unlike Kenneth Gainwell, running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. This is my favorite story of the NFL week. The Eagles beat the Commanders on Sunday, and right before halftime, their running back, Kenneth Gainwell, he fumbled the ball. He was responsible for a turnover. And, if you are a professional athlete and you have a mistake, the best ones, you forget about it right away. You move on. It's all about the next thing. He went into the locker room at halftime after fumbling the ball away and started scrolling social media. And people during the half were crushing him. And some people DM'd him on Instagram. One guy said, literally, just hold on to the ball, you effing bum. Sure. And Kenneth Gainwell writes back, again, halftime, in the locker room, "Lil boy, don't text me." He responds to, and then the guy's response back is, "Get off your phone."
Yeah,
that's great.
Halftime of a game, and he's literally responding to trolls on social media.
Which was the coach's response after the game. He said they sat down and had a little talk about keeping your head in the game. But yeah, no kidding. I think you thought you dissed him by calling him little boy. No, you legitimized him. You verified that he read his DM during the game. That's fantastic. They go to the locker room and pick up their phones.
Pretty incredible. I got busted at a gig for texting. This is ridiculous. 20 years ago. Well, it was 20 years ago this month. In November of 2003, I was touring with Stereophonics, a Welsh rock band. And we were doing a tour in the UK, and they're huge in the UK. So this is multiple nights in arenas in a bunch of cities. And we were playing in Newcastle at the big arena there. And there's a moment in the song. The Stereophonics had done a cover of Handbags and Glad Rags, the Rod Stewart song, the theme song for the British Office. It's a great song. Yeah. Well, the Stereophonics did a version of that as well, and it was a huge hit. I mean, it was the biggest song in England in 2002. And so we were playing it that night, and the drums don't come in for like the first 90 seconds. So I'm sitting there. It's a big arena show. I'm at the kit. It's totally dark on stage where I am because you've got the singer and the piano player under the spotlights. Everybody else is in the dark. And I was sitting at the kit, and next to me, I have a little table that holds like a bottle of water and my drum key and
bottle of Jack Daniels.
And I'd walked out to the stage that night with my phone in my pocket. I usually wouldn't do that, but I just happened to, so I set it next to me. And as I'm sitting there, I got a couple minutes to kill. I look over and I see my phone, and then I think to myself, "Oh, my friend Barry's out in the house watching the gig. He's out in the arena. It'd be hilarious if I texted him right now."
Yeah.
So I did. And as I looked and I said, "Hey, man, how's the show so far?" And I know he's going to see it and be like, "Oh, my God, he's texting me from the kit." It's just going to be a little inside joke for me and my buddy. Well, as I set the phone down, I noticed the whole crowd is kind of like roaring at a time when they wouldn't be. It's just the piano intro and the vocals. Well, we have the video screens, and there's cameramen on stage. The guy directing saw from the cameraman next to me, saw me doing it, and he put me on camera, and then the director put me up on the big screens sending a text, and I had no idea.
Gotcha.
Right.
And I'm like, what is everyone screaming about? I'm like, is there a fight in the crowd? What's everyone
I wasn't
roaring?
paying attention. I was texting.
And yeah, exactly. And I heard about that one after the show, actually. I mean, I'm this fill-in drummer for a tour. We're all friends, but it's like, what are you texting during the show for? I'm like, sorry, man. I didn't know it was on camera. My God. That was a tough one to swallow. I didn't live it down too quickly. I was reminded, like, every show, are you going to text? Are you good? You put your phone down? We're already playing now? Okay, great. Oops.
Yeah, I think we've all been. I was busted on the show once. I mean, just this year. And I reached over and just texted a buddy back who had sent a comment that I used on the air. And he said, "Aren't you on the air right now?" I'm like, "Wait, loser."
Yeah, really, man. By the way, we were just talking about Josh Dobbs. This just in, if you're paying attention to the NFL, the Raiders just fired Josh McDaniels this morning.
Oh,
right.
No kidding.
Their head coach. And boy, was that a long time coming. That guy is now, he's not just 0 for 2 as a head coach. He's a horrific 0 for 2 as a head coach.
Yeah.
The genius Bill Belichick's offensive coordinator. Man, I cannot imagine he'll get another chance at that. Because that Raiders team is a grease fire right now.
Well, they cranked out a few offensive coordinators there that bombed in the NFL as head coaches. Must have had something to do with Tom Brady being your quarterback.
It helped. It definitely helped.
Helped a lot.
Yeah, for all of Bill Belichick's genius, he certainly doesn't have the coaching tree that you might think. His guys leave and they flounder, and then they come back, and then they look pretty good again somehow. It's funny how that works.
Yeah, it is. No kidding. Josh, yeah, all right. I was wondering, I was thinking about that. I know the Raiders aren't doing very well. The Vikes are headed down there in a few weeks, I think. 4 or 5 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
So, I wonder, so they'll just, it's an interim coach off the bench. One of the coordinators probably filling in for the rest of the season.
They'll have a good week this week because that's how that works. The new coach bounce, and then it'll fall right back down.
Yeah. Kind of like cold slash.
Okay, I'm going to switch gears in a very, very, just a ridiculous direction right now. Let's talk about the Half Moon Bay, California Ritz-Carlton for a moment. Half Moon Bay is how do you describe it? It's between San Jose and San Francisco. It's on the Pacific coast. It's a beautiful little town, and there's a Ritz-Carlton there, and it's by all accounts, it's just a gorgeous resort. And they're being sued by Jane and John Doe, a couple who doesn't want their names to be known publicly, because they arrived at this oceanfront luxury Half Moon Bay Ritz-Carlton resort in November of 2022. For a celebratory weekend, they asked to have some water delivered to their room, and Ritz-Carlton has their own bottled water. It's, it's just bottled water, but it's their brand, their logo, and the guy brought them Ritz-Carlton bottled water. And in the middle of the night, the woman had put it by her bed. She woke up, was thirsty, took the top off the water bottle, took a big swig, and immediately spat it out and said, "There's something in my water." I'll just cut right to the chase. What was in her water was, in fact, proven to be human semen.
Whoa.
Who's?
Yep. She woke up in the middle of the night and drank someone's life seed in water.
Oh.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was confirmed to be. It was confirmed to be just that. Apparently, someone on the staff has a bizarre sense of humor.
Okay, first of all, I don't know how that would dissipate in the water. Sure, it's a solid substance in there.
I don't know that it does. It's kind of like, I just imagine it's kind of like an oyster just sitting there.
That was dark.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
You're going to need a little extra Tabasco on that one.
Yeah, no kidding. So, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I got to be honest. There's just, I don't care how nice that hotel is. I that one or any other. And by the way, there's a Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco, in the city itself, that I've stayed in. I never had any problem like this, but I did spend 5 nights there on tour in 2005, in which I slept like 5 minutes. It was, I kid you not, that place is haunted. I could not sleep. I thought I was losing my mind. It was like that movie where Al Pacino's in Alaska and can't go to sleep.
Oh,
Insomnia.
Right. Yeah.
I love that movie.
That's what it's called, really?
It's called Insomnia.
it is.
That makes perfect sense.
Robin Williams.
I've said everything but the word insomnia. I had a full week there where I was losing my mind, and it was just like that. And so anyway, watch out for the Ritz-Carltons. That's all I'm trying to say.
What the? So she saw there's something in the water and then decided to get it tested.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
Yeah, all right. And, okay. To drink a lot of water. Maybe it was a ghost.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what it's just one of those that's so wrong. I just felt the need to share it.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry about that.
Drink up.
Sorry or you're welcome, depending on how your tastes waver in the morning.
Gargling. All right. Let's shake it up. You know, we need some sweet old grandmother audio. We love that. Every once in a while,
sure.
we get a grandmother turned 104 years old, and they're just sweet and they're wonderful.
Great.
I couldn't find any of that this morning, but I do have a foul-mouthed English from the United Kingdom grandma who received a gift she definitely did not want to receive. Very colorful language. It's fun audio. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Led Zeppelin with the Immigrant Song from Led Zeppelin 3. Led Zeppelin, a band from England. English people are fun, aren't they?
Yes.
I mean, am I the only Anglophile here? I mean, there's nothing I like better than British humor and music, and not the food so much.
Isn't it weird?
Food's kind of tough.
Isn't it weird? I was thinking about this the other day, how you can't really tell their accents very well when they sing.
Well, a lot of
No, you can't at all.
Well, a lot of artists in the original rock, the British invasion, those guys were trying to sound American a lot of times.
Okay.
But yeah. There are certain artists that definitely, no one ever thought Ray Davies was an American. Just off the top of my head. I mean, he kept the accent going. But yeah, I think maybe because rock and roll is an American art form, suck it, England, it is. I think maybe because it's an American art form, it's just natural that they all sounded more American when they sang.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, look, I'm not acting like I'm a PhD in this stuff. I'm just shooting off the cuff here, Candace. I don't know why you're giving me the silent treatment. You brought this up.
I was just thinking about it the other day, how Mick Jagger doesn't really sound, sometimes, but not really. Like, it's just, you don't really hear the accent so well.
He doesn't sound like anything, really. I mean, think about some of the stuff when he's saying,
Yes,
it's like, you wouldn't know what he is. Half the time, he doesn't sound human.
I feel like my voice sounds very Minnesotan when I sing, so that's
No.
Shut up, Tony.
No,
When I hear you sing, if I close my eyes, I would swear it's Ozzy Osbourne on that stage.
You're just trying to suck up.
Yeah, that's true. But back to my love of most things English. I've spent a lot of time there. I've got a lot of friends from the British Isles, and most of the time, if they're kind of annoyed with you, it's still charming. Like they can be yelling at you. Could be annoyed. I told the story a little while ago. I got busted texting during a gig. I was playing with a bunch of Welsh guys, and they were kind of, and understandably, like annoyed by it, but it was still so charming. It's like, oh, you couldn't wait, huh? Yeah, gotta get that text out during the show, huh? Yeah. What about tomorrow? You gonna send an email during the drum solo? And but they were chippy, but it was still charming because they're English. Mm-hmm. And no matter what you do with an English accent, it's still, I don't know, it still works for me. Even when you're an old cussing grandma.
Yeah.
It's refined or polite.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like I feel the same way about the Irish accent when I was over in Ireland. I remember laughing at a guy in a bar one night. And one of the buddies I was with said he was from Miami, one of the DJs over there, and he says, I think he's pissed at you. I'm like, I know, but isn't it just funny? Listen to him talk.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So
Hey, so Brian, you ever pick up your teeth with broken fingers? And you're like, ah!
That's funny. Now
Yeah,
run.
it's great.
Because they're serious about it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we have a grandmother here for you, a very salty grandmother here. Now imagine your grandmother. I mean, because these are a different generation, a different age. A lot of these grandmothers, whether it be the greatest generation, it was that post-World War II generation, tough people. But this grandmother is at an age in her life where they think she needs a little assistance getting around. So they bought her a wheelchair. Her children have bought her a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
And she's having none of it. We might have to play this a couple times. Here she is reacting. By the way, they gave it to her as a gift, no less. So here, open up your gift, Grandma. Here she is.
I hope you got something else in mind, Matt, because you can shove that where the bloody sun don't shine. What's that? Bloody marvellous. Now piss off, all of you. I don't want no wheelchair, whoever it's for. Jesus Christ, I've never seen anything like it in my bloody life, you cheeky lot of cows. I know bloody well, but I don't want a pissing wheelchair.
He taught me how to walk and to talk.
We thought you can think again. When we went to the hospital, it would be much easier to get you to the car rather than do what we did. Piss balls to you.
Piss balls to you.
You can
lot of piss.
stick it where the sun don't bloom and shine.
Yeah, cheeky lot of cows.
God, that's great.
Isn't that fantastic?
Shove that where the bloody sun don't shine.
I'm just waiting for Henry Higgins to go, Eliza,
I don't want no wheelchair, whoever it's for.
I'll make a proper lady of her.
My bloody life, you cheeky lot of cows. Well, I know bloody well, but I don't want a pissing wheelchair.
Pissing wheelchair. That's fantastic.
Yeah, she is. And she's going to have to get in that damn wheelchair sooner or later.
She certainly is. This morning, Candace and I have been eating pizza. We're heating it up. I went for a second slice, and I'm just going to let you all know that was a mistake.
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
Because when you asked me if I wanted a second slice, I already had one, and my tummy hurt really bad.
Yeah.
What kind is it?
No, it's great pizza. It was too early to eat the pizza.
It's not working with the coffee and the lack of sleep. That's what it really is.
Really?
But then again, it's not. But it was just a good. It was a good. It was a great pizza. It's a pepperoni pizza. It's totally normal. It's really more the context. Unlike the new DiGiorno pizza, DiGiorno. It's not delivery. It's DiGiorno. We all know what DiGiorno is.
Sure.
They've got a new pizza. It's coming out. Let's see. Here's the toppings. Turkey, gravy sauce, sweet potatoes, green beans, cranberries, mozzarella, cheddar, and crispy onion topping. It's a Thanksgiving dinner pizza.
I would totally try that.
Me too.
And it sounds like the worst thing ever to me, but then I just looked at a picture of it, and it looks amazing.
It looks wonderful.
If you just throw enough mozzarella on top of anything. I'm the sweet potato. I'm not a sweet potatoes guy.
You can only order them online. They cost $11.23, as Thanksgiving is on 11/23 this year. But, man, DiGiorno, getting out there.
Yeah, I'm down.
I suppose kind of like peas when I'm thinking of that sweet potatoes. But if you bury it in enough stuff, and again, just slam it with the mozzarella.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
that
like
can work
weird
for me.
pizza.
Do you like weird pizza?
Yeah, I like pickle pizza and just weird. I don't know. I'll try about just anything.
I don't think you can call anything weird that involves pickles in the state of Minnesota. That's like a basic setting right around here is what I've learned this year.
A lot of people like sauerkraut on their pizza.
Yeah.
On pizza? I've never seen that
for
before.
sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Wow.
Pizza
do
Luce
whatever.
has one with kraut on it. Very good.
Ooh, maybe we could make our own signature pizza at Devani's and just put a bunch of weird stuff on it. We can each choose an ingredient.
I'm
the
gonna-
KQ Morning Show Devani's mess.
I'm going to choose felt.
That's
You
interesting
guys?
because I was literally thinking about billiard chalk.
I'm going to go with
So
Steve's
they go
aluminum foil.
right
then.
there
It's
together.
a great tandem.
Oh my God! Just you saying aluminum foil makes my teeth go. Row, row. Man, there's nothing quite like the first time you get a shank of aluminum foil in your mouth.
Yeah,
And if
I always do that with the Chipotle burrito.
Yeah, and if you're like me and you had a bunch of older brothers and you had a bunch of fillings as a kid, they handed you a sheet and said, "Have you ever chewed this? It's fun. Do it."
God.
Oh, my
yeah.
God.
It's so
Yeah.
painful.
Yeah, just awful.
That's awful.
Yes, I was raised by wolves, Candace.
It's like
There.
being electrocuted in your mouth.
That's what it felt like. Sure did. They paid the price for that one. I don't remember the punishment, but I did go straight to Mom with that one. The best punishment my mom ever dished out was when my brother Jim gave Rusty, the Springer Spaniel, what was it called? A Big Buddy? It's that giant wedge of bubble gum. It was like a 2-foot long thing. I think it was called a Big Buddy.
Right.
Jim put one in his mouth and chewed it up and got it all soft and then gave it to the dog.
Oh, puppy.
And he had gum it got all over him, not just on his snout, but his paws. It was on his chest. He had gum everywhere.
Yeah.
And my mom, St. Imelda Gorman, literally sat my brother down with a spoon and a bowl full of Gravy Train and watched him eat dog food.
Oh, how much?
Like several bites.
I
Not
always
like
wondered.
one. Huh?
I always wondered. I mean, because
Yeah.
it had the gravy in it, would it be okay?
That wouldn't be that bad.
From his reaction, it was not okay.
Okay.
I mean, this was not, we make handmade great quality dog food. This was Gravy Train.
Yeah.
This was like pig snouts, man. It was bad news.
Yeah.
Rusty didn't care, but Jim didn't like it. It's pretty great, actually, looking back. And I mean, seriously, I give my mom a lot of credit for that. I could have never, as angry as I ever was at my kids, I don't think I could have ever had them eat dog food.
I always preferred to be disciplined by Dad because Mom wasn't a spanker. Mom came up with creative things, which mostly involved cleaning, which I hated, or, household chores or out in our garden. She would stick you out in the garden for hard labor for a weekend when all your friends were over at Rose Hill swimming. But Dad, it was just a whap, whap, whap on the rear, and that was over.
Yeah, that's very true. When Imelda got on us, then we were saddled with guilt, and she's disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
My dad's just raging. He's just mad, so you're mad back. That's a real straight line, guy, oh, yeah, well, and then it's over.
Yeah.
And then my mom comes in, and she's crying at the end of the lecture, and you're just like, I want to die now. I let my mom down.
Or if she doesn't discipline you, she's so upset and disappointed, she just quietly walks out of the room, and you're like, oh, no, Mom. Discipline here, hit me with this.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than
the
the slow heel turn and then just the sad walk out of the room. Oh man, my mom's 5'3" on a good day, and her 6 boys all over 6 feet tall. She could just melt us with the way she walked out of the room.
Yep.
It's awful woman, my mom. No, I'm sorry. Great gal, my mom. Just wonderful.
Yeah, cheeky lot of cows.
Hey, tomorrow on the show, Greg Harris, who we've spoken with a few times this year, he's always up for a good chat. President and CEO of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is going to call. We'll be discussing this year's induction ceremony. I look forward to that. But before we look forward, tomorrow, why don't we look back right now for a history lesson? On this day, in 1946, the first professional basketball game went down in Toronto. The New York Knickerbockers beat the Toronto Huskies. The first basket ever scored in an American professional basketball game by Ossie Schechtman. Ossie Schechtman of the Knicks. It was a layup. Schechtman. I mean, just think about it.
Not a slam dunk.
No, it was definitely not a slam dunk. Let's see. The dunking was non-existent. Hitting the rim with your hand was a violation at all times. Fouls, 5, not 6. Ticket prices for the game. Courtside was $2.50. Cheap seats for 75 cents. Unless you were 6'8" or taller, you could go to the game for free.
You had to sit in the back.
That's all true. On this day in 1991, Wilt Chamberlain's memoir, A View from Above, was published. He very famously included the fact that he had slept with more than 20,000 women over the course of his life. Wilt Chamberlain, dude, really, just... you want to talk about something? We got some issues here. I'm sorry. Having sex 20,000 times is a great number for a life. 20,000 different partners, there's some issues. I'm sorry. There just is. But
Never
of course,
met the right one.
I guess not. Boy, talk about some impossible standards.
The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.